I got the first press fit wristband in here. I just heated up the rod and slid it in. It actually went in a lot easier than I thought it would. I thought I'd have to put a little force behind it, but I actually slid it too far. Had to use my little bolt tool to center it back up where it needed to be. But I'm gonna go ahead and put these next 5 together and see if I can get some type of little drift or piece of something to go back behind there so it doesn't go too far through when I push it through. But after they cleaned up pretty well. The first piston was the one that I messed up. You may be able to see in there that beside the oil groove, right there, there's some grinding, sanding marks. That's where the first nut that I had on the back of this was actually small enough to fit through that first part of the hole, but right there where the wrist pin stops and the hole in the piston actually gets a little bit tighter, it was just tight enough to where that bolt or nut or whatever I had was just a little too big, and the 6 corners of the bolt or nut or whatever it was just barely scored into where the wrist pin sits. So I had to grind it out a little bit just so that it moved in there by hand. All right, now we got the press fit wrist pins. All I'm gonna be doing is heating up the end of the rod with a torch and just sliding it in. I got a little bolt with some washers to put in the backside. To keep from pushing it too far, I got that little tool I made to, if I need to make some tiny adjustments of the wrist pin once the connecting rod shrinks and tightens on it. So we're gonna heat it up.
On the right way, oil squirter to the passenger side. That would be, that's the front piston, like that, numbers to the turbo, so it needs to go like that. There's the front piston over here, oil squirter. I put a little tiny mark on the front of the wrist pins. I don't think they're directional, but just put them in the same way. Got the torch. I'm gonna see if I can heat this one up for about 30 to 45 seconds, see if it still is enough to get it in there, the wrist pin. Might be about 45 seconds, somewhere around there. So we gotta push this through. And it's probably too cold by now. Not even close. Well, gotta be a little quicker. Let's see. I think I got it. It might be through just like a half a millimeter too far, but got in there. I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit. Looks even now. You can just barely see the ridge where it's a little tighter for the where the wrist pin goes in there. But looking good, moves nice and freely. They definitely not all of them moved this freely when I took it apart, took the motor apart. Make sure everything's together properly from the engine. All the square passenger side, numbers to the turbo side. There we go. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these. Probably put on a little time lapse. But that was the first one. We'll keep it going.
All right, got all the wrist pins back, rods connected to the pistons. A little more challenging than I thought it would be, but it is what it is. At first I was trying to put this bolt and washers in the backside as like a little stop to keep it from going in too far. Then I finally got smart enough and put it on this side and just use this to push it in. I didn't quite get the exact distance correct, so after I tried a bunch of different things on the first couple, I finally got the sixth one in with not a whole lot of issues. I had to tweak some of them with this little tool and bolt that I had. I was also getting some metal shavings from the nut and washer that I was using, so I'm gonna have to go through and clean the. I don't think any metal shavings actually got into the pistons or anything, or into the little wrist pin holes, but I'm just gonna go through, clean them all one more time. All right, got the rings in the first piston here. Oil ring, second ring, top ring. Top and middle ring were 19 thousandths, oil ring was 28 thousandths. So I think the spec, the maximum was like 17 thousandths, or a little bit over that. So like in between 17 and 18. So we are a little bit wide on the gap. Maybe that'll be better if we run a lot of boost or something. Let's check the gap on next piston ring, do a little video on it. I got some sealed power E-55 8KC piston rings. You can see it come in the box. It says top groove, second groove, and bottom groove. Chrome moly coated one for the top one, just regular cast iron for the middle one. I think those are stainless steel for the little oil expander thing. So we're just gonna check the gap. I think they're already all gonna be a little too big, but we're just gonna keep rolling with it. I ran out of brake cleaner, so I'm just gonna use a little bit of gas right here and clean off anything that may be on the ring. We'll put it in number 2. Carefully up. And then I got, this is the number 6 piston, and I just took one of the compression rings and put it in this bottom oil groove so I can get a pretty accurate square measurement on the ring gap. I was using just the piston before, but it still kind of goes in a little crooked, so it's hard to tell that it's exactly square in the cylinder wall. I think these are gonna be about 19 thousandths. 19 goes in pretty good. 20 does not go in, so we'll call that 19 thousand good on the top ring. Let's grab second ring. Same thing here, just gonna try and clean off any residual oils or anything. Well, different there, but sure we go in square. 19 goes in nice and easy. 20 goes in nice and easy. 21 goes in nice and easy. Let's pull this up. Just make sure we're square in there. There we go. I think it wasn't square because now 21 is not going in. Let's try 20 again. Not going in. Maybe I moved it when I put the 19 in. 19 just barely fits in. 19 thousandths. That was the second ring. Now we'll get some oil rings. These are very thin.
Put together. So the last O-ring on cylinder number 1 I did was 28 thousandths. Let's bump up to 26. Goes right in there. 28 goes in. 30 goes in. Let's pop this up. Double check. Make sure it's square. 30 was just a little snug. 32 goes in there as well though. I might move it. We'll just call it 32. Piston number 2. Right here. The rings, they come with some instructions, kind of hard to follow. I'm not quite sure exactly which ones apply to what I have, because there's a couple different variations, I guess. But I'm just going to put it on. Start with the oil spacer expander thing. Put that in.
Step 1, I think this is the one I'm supposed to follow. Put the expander on, top one around that way, bottom around that way. So, I guess you put the top one on first. Maybe you're supposed to line it all up with the gap right where the wrist pin is. There we go. On the top. And I think all these gaps are supposed to line up on the oil ring, oil expander. Bottom oil ring was supposed to go on a different way. Not really sure why. Go on like that. Okay. Second ring, top over there. Flip it over. Clock the gap over here, and that's in. And the top ring, dots on the top. Just a little tighter. There we go. All right, time to install the pistons. Had to do a little extra cleanup on the bottom. Found it was a little dirty, the studs down here and everything. But already checked the gap on the rings, put all the rings in, and I'm gonna be clocking the rings. This is the front of the piston here. Gonna start at this back side and then just do 180. So the top ring, the first gap is on the back corner or side of the piston, and then we're just gonna, second ring is 180, gap is right here. The first oil ring, gap is right here, and then the second oil ring, gap is right here. And then the expander ring butts up right here above the wrist pin in the back. I think that's what the instructions said. Clean up the surfaces of the rod and the cap. I got the bearings, last two bearings. Clean these up as well. And I did plastigauge all these before I did the final installation. Pretty sure you're supposed to do the plastigauge dry, but I was having issues, you know, using all the oil for assembly with the pistons. It was kind of hard to keep it extremely dry, but most of the measurements came out pretty good. So just press the bearing in there and just rest the flat side of the punch on there and just barely tap it with the hammer. Not even tap, just let the weight of the hammer just kind of hit it, just to make sure that the bearing is in there square.
On the top, lining up the little square hole and the little notches. Trying to at least, that's in there pretty close. I'll tweak it with this. Barely tap this one side, it wasn't quite flush, but now it is. It's supposed to be dry for when you're doing the plastigauge. Assuming the plastigauge this last rod.
Before we soak it in oil, before we clock the springs, just got a little milk carton. Fill it up with oil. Pour a little on the top here. And those little holes for the wrist pins. See if I can work it all in the wrist pin area. Top spring, I'm going, spilling oil everywhere. This is the front of the piston. This is the back of the piston. This is the side. So top spring, top ring, the gap's gonna be here. And I'm just gonna do 180 all the way down. So second.
Open up this ring compressor tool. Should be a little oil in the ring compressor tool and some oil in the cylinder. Put a number 6 over there. Crank it up, down. Alright. Try and keep some clean surfaces so we can plastigauge. And put these little tubes, piece of pipe, rubber pipe, whatever this is. Just keep it from scraping cylinder walls. Front of the piston, front of the engine. Let's turn it this way a little bit. Plastigauge. Just a little piece of plastigauge. Might be too long. There. Just broke some off. Alright. This is on backwards, but it's upside down. Okay, slide that on. Had a couple issues with the nuts. Had to run a tack through them, and I also had to clean up the threads on the stud of the rod. But they're going on pretty nice now. 54 Newton meters. Okay, now we come back off. Not looking too bad here.
The white one is the 0.038. That green one in the middle is the 0.051. So it's not quite as thin as that green one, not quite as thick as that white one. So I'm just taking these measurements as somewhere in between there when I record them all. Clean up the plastigauge, put some assembly lube on there. and all 6 pistons will be in.